Hey there, friends and enemies, JoPaWrites here again, and today we got the final season for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League and a brand new character in Deathstroke. Now, it was confirmed by the developers that this would be the second to last content update. We did get offline mode, which a lot of people have been asking for, and honestly, I believe especially if you get the game on sale for $5 to $10, then it's absolutely worth checking out, especially with the offline mode. However, as far as new content goes, we didn't get a ton, and a lot of the same problems that pop up when this game has new seasons and have plagued it since the very beginning arise with Season 4 as well. So I'm not gonna go too deep into detail. I'll show off some gameplay, including the cinematics at the end of the video if you missed them, but there is so much that is frustrating about this game. I know they got understaffed after the game was underwhelming and didn't do enough sales-wise when it launched, but every season has gotten less and less content, even though it still requires you to farm old content, even though it's kind of disguised as new stuff, but it's not really. And that's something that has been inherently frustrating since the beginning. They announce things that sound really awesome, strongholds for example, and they end up being very similar to content we already have. There wasn't anything like raids or anything of that nature, and ultimately the seasonal model for this game with not enough content always fell flat. And why it's so frustrating for me is the gameplay actually feels really good. Deathstroke himself is awesome as far as a gameplay character. I don't really show it off in this video as much, but he can run almost like the Flash at times. It's kind of silly. He has this grapple hook. His combos and abilities are very good. This is some early level gameplay that I'm showing off, and it was a ton of fun, to be honest, just jumping back in the game. Unfortunately, it gets repetitive very quickly because not only do you have to grind with an old character for 30 levels of the new season in order to get to the appropriate level to take on the mission to unlock Deathstroke, but also you end up having to farm that same content, which doesn't feel very new or unique once you do get him in order to level him up. And so it's really frustrating. There's so much promise here. I know people meme on this game a lot, but I do genuinely think the combat can be fun. It was a little silly to throw on guns for some of these characters who don't really need them in order to make it the looter shooter it ended up becoming. But all things considered, I do feel like the combat, the movement, there's a lot of things to like about this game. It just never had the type of content necessary to keep a game going like this long term. And this is something that the First Descendant faces. This is something that Destiny 2 has had a problem with. The seasonal model is not effective anymore in delivering enough content to keep people excited, especially if the base game doesn't have a robust endgame right from the jump. And so ultimately, while Deathstroke is fun and the content can be enjoyable for small bits, I just don't think that this is well worth it. Plus, the cinematics we got, the storyline to get Deathstroke is very much a letdown in my opinion. I do think we'll get a finale with the January update. I at least hope so, as we are supposed to rescue the Justice League. So hopefully that does happen, because it didn't happen today, and ultimately I can't help but be a little bit sad and disappointed as this game goes out with a bit of a whimper. But like I said, if you can get this game for $5 to $10, if you jump on and check out the online play, I think it's worth it. I think it's a fun game. It will be ultimately interesting once the game gets the final update to see how the storyline goes and all that kind of good stuff. But just like with Marvel's Avengers before, I do feel like these games are enjoyable for what they are. They just never reach the heights that we had hoped and expected they could. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. After this, I'm going to let you guys see the intro cinematic in case you haven't watched that. And then at the end, I'll show you a little bit of the final mission gameplay for unlocking Deathstroke, as well as his cinematic when he makes his appearance. Anyway, my name is Jopa. Have a good one. I hope you enjoy the video. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you all later.
What can I tell you about Deathstroke the Terminator that you don't already know? Let's start with Batman. You know how that went down. I'm gonna tell you what came next. Spent a little time in Arkham. Did some healing. But the one thing I couldn't heal was my pride. I was stuck inside. Meanwhile, Batman's out there joining the Justice League, revealing his secret identity and building a family. They say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different outcome. So I decided to do a little internal force concentration. Relying on the serum dulled my senses. So I trained. I learned all I could from the lowlifes around me. Reconnected with my own family. And I came out the other side of it all. It didn't matter anymore. The revenge, my vows, none of it. And that was when Amanda came a-knocking. Same proposal, different mission. A task force of one. Get in, kill Brainiac, get out. Simple. Or so I thought. Obviously, I wasn't gonna consider my job done till I'd cut off all the heads of the snake. So I went dark. Figured out how to travel between Earths. Killed a few Brainiacs. And found myself here.
Troops. Will Waller even deign to send you the bearer's backup?
Popping off a few hundred nameless henchmen? Well, that's in my job description.
Reinforce the front line. Task Force X cannot be suffered to succeed.
Theories, but I love practice.
Task Force X, must you always be so vexing a problem to me? My units will try to teach you some decorum.
Pull back! We can't!
Even if my patience wears thin, my ranks are functionally unlimited.
I'm sure glad they can't take a hint.
That's practically based on what I want for life. I got some guns from an incubator in me mouth one time.
Beings of average intelligence would have seen the futility of their efforts by now. This is not a compliment. Enough! Ugh. I see I still need to deal with you myself.
Brain free.
What? You listened to his speeches?